Now, are you thinking of having cavity wall insulation? Perhaps you've been cold called by a company offering a cut price or even free. There are a lot of money-off schemes around because cavity wall insulation is one of the home improvements promoted by government as a way of making homes more energy efficient, and more than 13 million homes have had it done. Fibre, polystyrene beads or foam are used to fill the gap between an inner and outer layer of breeze block or brick. A huge cavity wall insulation industry sprung up, and now a huge cavity wall insulation removal industry, because cavity wall insulation can cause damp. Pauline Saunders had cavity wall insulation installed in 2010. Vernon Harwood went out to see her.
We're standing outside my lovely home that I've lived in for 50 years. It's a red brick, semi-detached dormer-type building, and this is the wall in which the cavity wall insulation was installed. They insert a nozzle and they literally pump the fibre into the cavities.
And at that stage, on the day of installation, did you have any cause for concern?
None whatsoever. We were really pleased. However, I'll show you where the problem was.
We go in the hall and straight up the stairs, and you can see the damage already, actually, because the wallpaper's all been ripped off. The wooden panelling up the stairs has been removed, and up here on the windowsill you can see large areas of thick black mould, just like soot.
Yes, exactly. One Monday morning I just got up and I was horrified to see that the wallpaper was literally bubbling away from the wall. I practically felt as if water was oozing out of the wall. And it's quite scary when this happens. It really, really is. Because your home is your shell. You know, it's everything to you. And when your home is damaged, it makes you feel really, really vulnerable and weak. I sent hundreds and hundreds of emails and I was getting absolutely nowhere. I was so frustrated I could have screamed. Eventually, curiosity got the better of us and we removed a couple of bricks and found that the cavity was absolutely full of rubble. We did some investigating and we found that some builders in the 60s used to use the cavity as a dumping ground for the excess mortar. And we realised it's an absolute no-no for cavity wall insulation. Finally, we got an inspection from the BBA, which stands for the British Board of Agreement, or Agreement. And I have the report in front of me now, which says the property was and is unsuitable for cavity wall insulation and should not have been insulated. So I feel totally vindicated and absolutely ecstatic.
Pauline Saunders, and Pauline eventually got that cavity wall insulation removed by the company that installed it, but she had a lot of trouble getting her hands on the report that she mentioned, and I'll come back to that in a minute. First though, Peter Ward is an historic buildings consultant. He advises people on restoring older houses. Do people come to you, Peter, with problems that are caused by cavity wall insulation?
Yes, they do. We've been involved now in surveying old buildings for quite a number of years, and I'm seeing increasing numbers of people ringing us. We probably get a rough average of about 5 a week. And other surveyors I know who work in this area are seeing even more numbers. And I think we're talking many hundreds, if not thousands, of people who are seeing quite serious problems with cavity insulation. When you get a phone call, it often involves people who are experiencing quite bad health problems like asthma and allergic reactions, and it does seem to affect smaller children as well.
How does it cause problems?
It's a very big issue that needs to be looked at in the wider scope of different types of build. It shouldn't cause problems. Modern cavity construction in a house is very properly designed and it should work well. What we're talking about here is older homes that the government has targeted in its insulation policy, and these older homes have a very complex and quite varied structure. Some of them are solid walled, Some are very early cavity construction, which goes right back to Victorian times, and it comes right through to houses that are built after the war. And the bottom line here is that the cavity in those buildings is there for a reason. It was originally designed to keep out wind-driven rain. Rain hit the wall, it ran down the inside of the cavity and out through drains at the bottom. And I think if you can see that if you fill it, the cavity can get very wet. And there is a second cause, which is a bit more indirect, and it is causing a lot of problems, and this is breathability of older buildings. And older buildings used breathable materials like lime mortar, lime plaster, soft brick and so on. So they can accumulate moisture very quickly. And that is moisture that we produce in the house from breathing, from showering, from cooking and so on.
Peter, if homeowners have had this work done and they have problems with it, what can they do?
The main organisation that deals with this is SEGA, the Cavity Wall Insulation Guarantee Authority, but they don't seem to be listening. We've sent a lot of people to SEGA and all they get is the same response, nothing.
Peter, just wait there a moment. We did
Okay.
invite SEGA, the Cavity Insulation Guarantee Association, to come onto the programme today, but they sent us a statement instead. Now, they say 6 million guarantees were issued since 1995, and they reckon that 1 in 4 households in the UK has cavity wall insulation covered by one of these guarantees. They say the number of homes with damp problems is very small, and it's often down to exceptionally bad weather and poor maintenance. And they referred us on to the British Board of Agreement, the body that certifies and approves the cavity wall insulation installers. Digby Harper is from the British Board of Agreement, or the BBA. Digby Harper, why is cavity wall insulation being fitted in homes when it shouldn't be?
Well, of course it shouldn't if the home is unsuitable for cavity wall insulation. And that should, if the procedures that are laid down, both in our systems and also in those laid down by the National Insulation Association and SEGA.
So
If those procedures are followed at the initial survey, homes that are unsuitable for cavity wall insulation shouldn't get it.
Now, where people are being offered this work free, and some of your members do a lot of cold calling and they phone people and they knock on doors, who's paying? I mean, we are, obviously, but under what schemes?
Well, there's a number of schemes. The two main schemes currently, and these have changed over time, but the two main schemes currently are the ECO scheme, which is the energy suppliers' obligation scheme, the energy company's obligation scheme, and the other one is Green Deal. Those are the two main schemes currently operating.
Now, we've just heard Peter Ward say that he went to SEGA, the body that guarantees this work. Sorry, he's sent people to SEGA who then have come back to him and said that SEGA provided no satisfactory response. Now, that's exactly what happened to the woman we interviewed, Pauline Saunders. She went to SEGA, no joy there. She eventually went to your organisation, the British Board of Agreement.
Yep.
You sent out a surveyor. Your surveyor produced a report that said that her house was never suitable for cavity wall insulation, but she couldn't get a copy of that report. The surveyor told her that that was confidential between him and the contractor, and she only got hold of it when somebody sent it to her by accident. That's not fair, is it?
In the way that you presented it, I would agree with you, it's not fair, but that's not strictly the correct interpretation of the process. You need to understand that we have a contractual relationship with all the installers and indeed the system suppliers and manufacturers who are certified or registered with us as approved installers. If a complaint is referred to us, yes, we will carry out an investigation and we will send that report to the contractor. It is a confidential report. It will tell the contractor what we found in terms of defects, if there are any defects.
And if the contractor chooses not to pass that information on, then the client's just left dangling.
The obligation on the contractor is to act on the contents of our report to remedy the problem.
Can I ask you this? If cavity wall insulation,
then
can I just ask you a final question?
Yeah.
If cavity wall insulation is so great, why is there now this industry that has been set up to remove it? And why are the same people who put it in offering to remove it in the classic sort of win-win situation?
Well, it shouldn't be necessary. If we could identify without any failures those properties that have some kind of building defect built in that's not visible in every instance. It wouldn't be necessary. But unfortunately, as it appears now and then, these properties do get through the system, and the insulation is inserted, and only
Can I
then
just,
do the existing defects make themselves visible.
Digby Harper, thank you for that. Peter Ward from Heritage House. We are going to come back to this story again, but can I just ask you this? The Energy Savings Trust have revised down the official figures that you'd be likely to save if you get this cavity wall insulation from £490 a year to £270. But it's still a big saving, isn't it?
I don't think it is a big saving, because the risk of unexpected consequences is so high.
We'll have to leave it there. But thank you very much both, gentlemen, for your time.